4/10 to top rack. So that is where the Yamaha's working really well at this stage. Obviously, you expect to see that change as the weekend progresses, but it is no surprise that in a section of the track where you really need to brake on the angle, that the Yamaha's just got that bit of extra performance in some of the other bikes out there. So that is where the Yamaha's really strong. We've seen it so far around this track that in the middle sectors it has been a case of the Kawasaki's and the Ducatis having a little bit of an advantage, but that can all change now in the final 10 minutes of the session.
Yeah, so it's not sort of a Ducati problem in that last sector. It's more about top rack and the way he works with his Yamaha.
Yeah, everyone's going to have a bit of a top rack problem in that final sector, and you can see Verlo's making his way out of the pits. He's already put 11 laps under his belt, and that's good to see as well, considering the injuries that he's had over the course of the last few rounds. And hopefully for him, it is a case of being back on form and back to closer to full fitness and being able to ride a little bit more uninhibited than he had been in recent rounds.
Several riders, though, waiting a fair while before coming out onto track for their second stint. Jonathan Rea among them. You'd suggest that riders might perhaps have been expected to really put in as many laps as possible as far as track familiarisation was concerned.
Well, I think that's why we saw some longer stints at the start of the session, riders going out doing 8 or 9 laps and then coming into the pits and making some changes to the bikes and then going out for these final 12 minutes. And you'd expect to see everyone stay out all the way through until the end of the session now.
Yes, KRT leaving it late to return to the circuit, as we've been saying, but a couple of other riders also out onto track. Andrea Locatelli and Tati Mercado just completing their installation laps. Not quite sure what Michael van der Mark was waving his hand about there. We might be about to see it.
Big moment there as he backshifts down in towards those ever-tightening right-handers at the end of the lap, and for Van der Mark, he's able to at least live to fight another day, and he's going to rejoin the track and still be able to set some times. The sim just coming through turn 1 down in towards 2 and 3. This is one of the tighter sections of the track, but it opens up from 3 onwards through turn 4, 5, 6. It really is opening up all the way through until we get to turn 10 at the end of the back straight.
Scott Redding's just gone across the line for a new personal best, 1:37.504 for Redding. So the standings now with just over 10 minutes remaining. Razgatlioglu 9/10 clear, and Rinaldi second fastest, Bassani third fastest, Jonathan Rea fourth, and Scott Redding fifth. A fair number of Ducatis up towards the front of the field. Yeah,
and certainly that's what Scott Redding's going to expect to see through the course this weekend, is that Ducati have the performance to be able to get to the front. He wants to be a spoiler. As it is right now, he's fifth fastest, but you'd expect to see him find some performance as we move through the sessions today. But Ducati, they can be that spoiler if the bike works and it's in that right operating window. We've seen them so strong all the way through this season. This could be one of those tracks that really does suit it, and the reason for that is we're going to have really high track tempo. That's why we're going to see the riders with their little paddling pools out the back of the garages, and they'll get straight into that once they finish the session, bring down their body temperature, get themselves cool and start the recovery process, because that's one of the big challenges that you have in World SBK. With 3 races in a weekend, it's really difficult for these riders. Very different challenge to what you have for the likes of MotoGP riders, where you've got Friday practice sessions, practice and qualifying on Saturday, and then a race on Sunday. In World SBK, you're action all the way, and that was definitely one of the things that for Scott Redding, whenever he moved into superbike racing, it was one of those big challenges for him, because you have to lift yourself so much to go racing, but then you have to almost calm yourself down and then do it all again, and it's a big challenge for all the riders, particularly in conditions like this.
It's proper Suzuka style with the paddling pools. I think it was one of the most startling things I saw in my first season in endurance, was everyone jumping straight into the paddling pool as quickly as possible. Gives it almost a holiday atmosphere alongside the serious business of racing, so we might see a little bit of that over the course of this weekend. Looks as though Toprak's preparing himself now to go back out there. It does also mean that it's going to be physical exertion over the course of the weekend. It's a busy schedule in World SBK.
Yeah, really busy schedule, and it's a busy track around here as well. You can see that there's those fast sections at the start of the lap. That's physical to try and manhandle the bike across the track and get yourself into the right positions. You're not got too many long straights where you can really just tuck yourself in and have a bit of a rest. This is action all the way, and certainly you're going to see over the course of a 21 lap race that you're going to need to have an awful lot of concentration to avoid making mistakes, and that's one of the big challenges for the riders. Physically, they can deal with that a lot because of how hard they train, and they're all prepared for that physically, but mentally as well, you